It's Monday, so it's a great day because Ask Nick is here. Well, we do have just a hell of an episode for you, and we just want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing us and telling your friends about us because we truly are saving relationships. That's what we tell ourselves. I don't know. And by we, I mean me. Also, I have Allie and Amanda here. Allie's waving, so that's cool. She hasn't been told how podcasts work yet. That's awesome. You're doing great. Job well done. Well, I guess, we have a great week for you in the podcast space. We have a Bachelor Recap episode for you tomorrow. We don't want to tell you who our guest is because we have a couple different options. And we're going to wait. But on Wednesday we have Howie Mandel. What a great interview! What a great guy. Funny. I've been following. I didn't know that Howie was the voice of Gizmo from the Gremlins. No, well, I mean, I didn't find this out today, but most of the time I've been a fan of Howie. I didn't know that. My first he was in the movie called Little Monsters with what's his name from the Wonder Years. So, yeah. But anyways, I've been a fan of his for a long time. Obviously, many people know him from Deal or No Deal and America's Got Talent. And he's been a stand-up for 40 years, since the early 80s. Anyways, he was great. He's also a Bachelor fan, turns out. I didn't know that. But we have a ton of fun talking about, well, everything. OCD, mental health, masturbation, The Bachelor, rejection, coughing, farting. It was wild. I really didn't know what direction it was going. I'm still not sure where it went, but it was fun to talk, and I hope you enjoy it. That's on Wednesday. And then we, obviously, with the Bachelor season coming to a wrap, we'll hopefully bring you some groundbreaking interviews, and we can wrap up this just dumpster fire of a season on so many levels. I could use a break. Anyways, we thank you for listening and choosing us. Ask Nick's around the corner.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Good. How can I help?
So I'm Anne Marie. I'm 24. I wrote in because this past year I went through, I guess, my first really serious relationship breakup, and I guess it was also just my first serious relationship. And I feel like a lot of things happened kind of post breakup that aren't usual. So I was kind of stuck between dealing with the first really hard breakup and then just all these other things that just kept happening. So just a little backstory, I was dating this guy for a year. It was really fast. I guess you could say you're kind of engaged, not exactly. And then, but we moved really fast. We were looking at condos, etc. And then, we spent all the holidays with my family. And then, a month later, he kind of just sporadically ended things, and I was pretty caught off guard because he was pushing so much, so many different things, that I was kind of we kind of need to slow down here.
You felt a little duped because he was the one kind of pushing things forward, playing house a little bit, and then you were trying to have a little bit of you were trying to be a little grounded, and yet he was the one kind of and that happens. You're not the first person to experience something like that. So if that makes you feel better, I don't know. If it does.
I knew I wanted to be with him, but I also was this just needs to kind of go a little bit slower. He wanted to ask my dad if he could marry me, and I was this just can't happen right now. That's not reasonable. We've not been together a full year. That's not logical. And so I was very caught off guard. And it's once he decided that, there was nothing, he didn't even consider having a conversation. There was no I asked him to try, and there was just nothing. It was done. But we did continue to, of course, kind of hook up there for a while, 4 or 5 months, I think. And then
And so when you say kind of hook up, you were having sex?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like also very like pretty frequently and still pretty relationshipy.
All he really did was decided that he wanted to, have the option to hang out with other women without being labeled a
Yeah.
cheater, but
I guess.
enjoyed having some regular sex that you seem to be willing to continue to provide him.
Yeah. There was like an overlap. There were 2 weeks, and this is kind of when I took my step back because I realized he had been seeing this girl, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, that's not what I ever wanted with you. And so 2 weeks later,
So
we finally stopped.
You didn't want to do what? You didn't want to hang out with him while he was hanging out with another girl?
I didn't want to be in that like toxic relationship where it's like, I'm not gonna like, we had a very like healthy relationship, and I think when it all ended, it was like I didn't want to feel like I was the other girl or like that I had to compete for him. Like that's not what I've ever wanted from a guy, and that's not what I wanted in a relationship, and that's what this has become. And I was like, so I don't want to be a part of it.
Okay, good for you.
So then 2 weeks later, he started seriously dating this girl, and like we met her at the same time. I don't know. But then fast forward, like a couple months into their relationship, he reached back out to me and he was like, hey, like we wanted to clear the air. And I was like, I don't really like need closure from either of you. Like, I don't care. And then it turns out a week later, he was like, actually, like we wanted to have a threesome with you.
Okay.
So
how did you respond?
I was mad. Like I felt really disrespected. I really felt like our relationship meant more than that, and I felt like he respected me more, like because we've had multiple conversations about if that was something like I ever wanted to do, and I was like, like maybe if we're like married or whatever, like down the road, but it's not something I want. Like like that's not something I've ever wanted to do with you. Like I've never wanted to be in that place, and like the fact that you asked me and thought that I would just like do whatever you wanted because you asked, and then like he was like, well, you always wanted to have sex one more time, so like I thought I would just like give you this opportunity. And I was like, with you and another girl? I was like, are you like insane? And then so that was like 2 months into their relationship, and so I haven't talked to him since then. So that was like 5 or 6 months ago. And then I find out he got engaged after 5 months.
But now you're just fucked up about it?
Well, a part of me, like it's just, I'm okay, but it's like, I'm trying to like understand like how, like I'm just trying to move on from a relationship that I've kind of convinced myself clearly couldn't have possibly been real if like you're able to do what you've done.
Yeah.
Following.
I mean, listen, you're wrong about that. You're just hurt, and that's okay.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing from you, he sounds kind of like an asshole, and you should be really glad that you're not engaged and you're not going to marry him. Who knows? There's two sides to every story, but he sounds pretty toxic, and he sounds incredibly selfish. And best case scenario, when your story started, he was just a guy who was maybe just emotionally immature and liked playing house and wasn't really self-aware about that and liked moving things forward and just wanted the idea of things. Yeah. And then it didn't matter what he said, like, hey, I want to ask your daddy to get married. Let's move in. And didn't think at all how you would receive that information, how you would get excited, how that might, even though you were trying to be like, hey, that's great, I want these things too with you, but like, wow, that seems fast, because also you were protecting yourself about like, wow, like, can I believe that you really want those things? And then that's what your gut told you, and your gut ended up being right because he just up and left, and that left some scars, and you feel a little foolish. And like, anytime we don't trust our gut and then our gut proves to be right, we get mad at ourselves. We judge ourselves, and we feel like we should know better, and it's just like you get this dirty feeling of like, why didn't I just trust my gut, right? I mean, the threesome stuff, I mean, the guy is an asshole. Like he asked you if it makes you feel better, because often is the case is like when we date someone, or let's say we just know a girl that we're hanging out with or having sex with, and she seems to be open to a threesome, and we've talked about this on the show before. The next question is like, well, who the fuck do we ask,
Yeah.
And they're, unless you're in these like, secret groups, there's not a lot of people you like who are out there being like, hey, just if anyone's looking for a threesome, I'm game. So
Yeah.
he didn't know who else to ask, and then instead of being like a decent human, he decided to continue to be an asshole and then throw that in your face when he got defensive. Now keep in mind, like, I'm not defending him at all, but that whole well, I just thought you wanted to have sex one more time. Well, it was a really shitty thing to say to you.
Yeah,
he said that because
like
he felt but he said that because you made him he got defensive because you were like, why would you ask me that?
Yeah.
And he's an idiot first and then an asshole second, right? He's an idiot for asking you because why the fuck would you want to have a threesome with him and this new girl?
I don't know.
And you pointed out the obvious, which is why the fuck would I want to do that? And then he got defensive. And instead of just owning him being an idiot, he decided to like, gaslight you and make you defend the fact that you wanted to have sex and something crazy like that. All these things.
Yeah.
Him being engaged to this girl, while it's bugging you the most, is the most, like, it's great. Great for him, sucks for her. Great for you, right?
Great for me.
Good chance it's not going to end up well for her. Who knows? Like, this guy, how old is this guy?
26.
Yeah. I mean, what you really need to focus on is to not, what's hard to do, because you are going to almost be following this relationship as much as you say you don't want to, like on the peripheral, because all you want deep down is validation that you're not crazy or that you are good enough, and that if they were to break up, you're going to like, and don't do that. I've done that before too. Like, don't let this be like a 2-year thing that you like forget and it's not like top of mind, but deep down it's there. Like anytime you hear his name or it comes up, you want to get to a place of indifference.
Yeah.
You should practice like wishing him well, hoping for the best for them. They deserve each other. It's great. What it is not your problem, because if he breaks up with her, he's going to call you and try to fuck with you again and like re-enter your life. And hopefully when that happens, you're in a position where you really don't give a shit and you're not like, what you don't want to be is still fucked up about it, so that you allow him back in, because you're doing it. So like, I don't want to date this guy, but like, I'm going to allow him back in my life because I'm going to hope to get like the confirmation validation that I'm not crazy, or he's going to apologize for something. He's going to see it. He's going to see that he was an asshole to me. He's going to see how he treated me. And you're going to let this kind of like, you're going to let this wolf in, so to speak. And he's going to fuck shit up, It's not going to play out. So you should just be really happy he's distracted, so that you have the time to get indifferent about him, to really believe that like, I don't need him to have closure. What he did was fucked up. Thank God I have that toxicity out of my life and my relationship. And eventually you just be like, oh, gross. I can't believe I wasted so much energy. And so then when he does come back in your life, you're just kind of like, that's funny. I give a lot of advice on the show, as you guys know, but there's one piece of advice that I want to give you right now that I really need you to listen to, and that is put some amazing, delicious nuts in your mouth. That's right. Put those nuts in your mouth from nuts.com. It is the best kept secret of savory snacks across America. And it's not just for nut lovers. No. They have a bunch of delicious snacks ready to go, like dried fruits, pantry items, like baking mixes, chocolate-covered gummy bears. Thank you, Chrissy. But also nuts. And nuts are a great snack. They're low in sugar and they got protein. I put a nut in my mouth.
I love putting nuts in my mouth.
And I'm glad I did.
Especially the sample sizes.
It'll solve all your problems. They have gluten-free and vegan options, and they deliver fast. I talked to the CEO on the phone, true story, and he was very proud of the quality and the service they provide. And he meant it a lot, and it was great to hear. So I feel confident saying that if you want to put a ridiculous amount of nuts in your mouth, you'll be able to do it as quickly as you want, and it will be the best nuts you've ever had in your mouth. It really is good. They're really good.
They're really good.
They're really good.
It's really good. The problem is trying to figure out which one you want first. Which nut in your mouth you want first.
Oh.
I'm currently eating these spicy lime plantain chips. Lovely.
Cashews.
Yeah, they have spicy lime plantain chips. I know my aunt's pretty annoyed right now. I'm chewing and talking. But
so good.
God, when you got some good nuts in your mouth, you can't help yourself. You know what I mean? You know what I
I
mean?
know it's exactly what you mean,
You
Nick.
know what I mean? So, to get your nuts in your mouth and real fast, I mean real fast,
That's a quick date.
to get your nuts in your mouth at a speedy time, newnuts.com customers get free shipping on your first order when you text FILES files to 64,000. And remember, you support our show when you support our sponsors. That's right. You know, honestly, I'm just trying to help you guys out. These nuts are delicious. So text FILES to 64,000 to get free shipping on your first orders of nuts.com. That's FILES to 64,000. Never buy a nut from anywhere else but nut.com. I confidently can say that. You're just a little dumb if you're not buying
You're
your
nuts, we could say.
You're nuts if you don't buy, thank you, Allie. You're nuts if you don't buy your nuts from nuts.com. True statement. Terms apply. Available at nuts.com/terms. Speaking of nuts, Dipsy. That's
Dipsy.
right. So once you have your nuts in your mouth, then you are ready for some immersive stories to help you get in the mood. That is right. So many New Year's resolutions are about doing less of something. Why not give yourself more? And I'm talking about pleasure, ladies. That is right. Woo, yes. More time to connect with yourself and your body. Get in the habit with Dipsy. Hey, everybody. Grab your partner. Get some Dipsy. In that audio app full of short and sexy stories designed to turn the both of you on. Each Dipsy story features characters that feel like real people in immersive scenarios, so you'll feel like you're right there. They release new stories every week, so there's always something more to explore, no matter who you are or what you're into. If you've been married for 30 years, sure, you can't have a variety of fucking someone new. Not if you're faithful, but you can have a new story. That's right. And for listeners of our show, Dipsy is offering a 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/VIALL. That is a 30-day free trial when you go to DIPSEA stories.com/VIALL. dipsystories.com/VIALL. You know, and it's hard for you to believe right now, but you can, I promise you can get there.
I think like when I first found out that like they like got engaged, like I think it really kind of like spoke to like the instability of him, like.
But that's your mistake. You gotta get out of that mindset.
Yeah.
Your job is not to analyze him, because that mindset, what you just said, is like trying to again validate what he did. Oh, his instability. You know this guy sucks. You don't need any more proof, right? Stop looking for more proof. That's what you're doing. Oh, well, yeah, the engagement hurts, but at least it seems he's like, fools rush in, so to speak.
So then I guess like going like forward is like kind of what I was watching The Bachelor, and I mean I was listening to Serena P talk about how like going forward in her relationships, like it's terrifying because like you were so sure and then you were so wrong, and then every single biggest fear that you had like kind of ended up coming true in the end. And so like you
weren't as sure as you wanted to believe. You even said that while he was moving things so quickly, you were like, hey buddy, slow down. And that part of you that was saying slow down was telling you this isn't as healthy as I want to believe it is. Like it all felt good, and like you wanted to believe it would work out, but he was doing things that you sensed and your gut told you seemed unhealthy or not okay or too fast, right? And so those were some little red flags that he was flying that you were noticing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you didn't like him. It doesn't mean you didn't wish that things would have worked out, but you saw it, right? So now going forward, you will be better at paying attention to those things. Instead of like being like, hey babe, I think we should slow down. But like, and then, you just said it and you thought that was enough. And he's like, no, it's totally cool. You're like, okay, I guess next time you'll be like, no, like, I don't like, no, we're not that's nuts. Like, next time you meet a guy and he's dating for a month and he's just like, I love you. You're like, what do you love about me? Explain that to me. Walk me through what you love so much about me, instead of just being like, I know, I'm great.
That did happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think even then, like, I was like, I'm not going to tell you that. Like, I think my biggest issue is just like kind of getting like the validation from like, I don't know why, like, just like for some reason my mind always goes back to like trying to validate like maybe it wasn't real, maybe it was, like, and it's just
It was very real, right? And that's
Yeah.
okay. It was a very real relationship because we often get ourselves in relationships that don't work out. Don't pretend that it
Yeah.
like at times he cared about you, you cared about him.
yeah.
You fell for a guy that also had a lot of shit to work out, and he may or may never work out. It's not your problem. Hopefully you want it. Like, yeah, listen, someday this guy will figure his shit out, but you will be long past and over it. And it just will be such a, you'll be like, good for you, you know?
Yeah. And I think it was just because it was like the first, like, honestly, it was my first, like, serious and non-serious relationship. Like, in general, it's my first relationship. And then it was also a lot more serious, I think, than I predicted I would ever get myself into the very first time.
You listen, at the end of the day, this is more of a lesson about understanding your own vulnerability,
Yeah.
right? And trusting your gut. Like you were vulnerable because you liked a guy for the first time and it was exciting and new, and then you prioritize that over what your gut was telling you. And the next
Yeah.
time you experience these situations, hopefully you figure out how to balance that a little bit better. You know, that you're a little more cautious of the excitement that you feel. And I don't know if you listened to our episode with Dr. Berman, another example of like maybe these butterflies and excitement that we feel early in relationships aren't necessarily meaning that we're in love or that it's like, oh, this is my dream person. It just means
Yeah.
I'm excited. Maybe that's my gut telling me something else, right? So it sounds like you are in tune to those things. Like you should be proud of yourself, actually, that you're like, I knew it, right? You could be mad at yourself for not following through,
Yeah.
but at least you knew. At least you weren't like, oh my God, it was all perfect. You know, you even said it wasn't perfect. It was going too fast. It was moving at a somewhat immature, delusional pace of which
Yeah.
you sensed. And so you
Yeah.
can give yourself some credit for that. But as far as this
Okay.
guy goes, you got to let it go. You got to move on. You have to accept the fact that he's not right for you, and you have to stop looking for reasons to tell your ego it was right, or like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you have all the information you need to move on. You don't need more. Stop looking for more, reasons. You already have it.
Yeah.
Now you just have to trust yourself and move on.
I mean, I guess it has been like less than a year, but I mean, I feel like it's just so much has happened that it's just like I get so far and then I get back.
Yeah, well, do the whatever is bringing you back is you cut those things out. Social media, mute them, block them, but also like tell yourself that you gotta tell yourself is like it doesn't bother you, that you're over it, and you have to, and then eventually you'll believe it. He fucked you up a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
And next time, when you are getting gaslit, when you are questioning your own sanity because someone's like making you feel bad about like being like, that's why would you ask me to have a threesome with your current
Yeah.
girlfriend? You just have the confidence that what they're doing is insane and wrong, and don't ask yourself if you're crazy. You know you're not crazy.
Yeah. I think I just thought more about, I don't know, but yeah, I get that.
You are more self-aware than you want to give yourself credit for, and you just have to realize that, and you give yourself credit.
Well, I appreciate that. I actually needed the whole like validation perspective because I guess I like hadn't seen that. That's kind of what I was constantly doing, like
Yeah.
trying to validate their relationship to make me feel better. I don't know.
Yeah, you are. All you want to hear right now, and I've been there, is you want to hear nothing makes you feel better in the moment than hearing that why he sucks or mistakes he's making for himself that will eventually end in his own tragedy. But that's
Yeah.
why
That's
you're
a
having a
given.
hard time letting go, because you're getting short-term gratification, but that keeps you obsessed about that situation. So that's why you really have to practice like being happy for him, and then you'll be indifferent, because it's ridiculous to be happy for him. So then eventually you'll just become indifferent. You'll be like, I don't care. I just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, best of luck. I'm sorry you're going through this, but I promise you there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to challenge yourself to get there.
I feel like it's closer. So thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.
When cooking feels like something you just don't want to do and you want to switch things up, you can get delivery from the best local restaurants on the Caviar app. That is right. Get great food like dim sum, falafel salad, whatever you're in the mood for, and get the best quality restaurants in your area with an amazing delivery app, and that delivery app is Caviar. Caviar is the app that has the best local restaurants. Get them delivered right to your door. Caviar is all about great restaurants. That's right. That's why you'll find the best spots in your neighborhood right when you open the app. The collection of Mediterranean, vegan, vegetarian, and more. It's super easy to find good food for whatever you're feeling. Looking for something that's not dinner? Well, Caviar still got you covered because they can help you get some great ice cream, fun snacks, breakfast, and a healthy lunch, and more. And just for our listeners, Caviar is giving you a 20% off your first order. Now we're talking. Just enter the promo code VIALL at checkout. Remember, that's 20% off your first order with promo code VIALL. I'll tell you what, I use Caviar, and I could not have been more satisfied with my service and my meal. Download the Caviar app and use offer code VIALL for 20% off your first order. I put on some blenders, and I mean sunglasses, and I got to say, I was like, Nally, and I was like, you're even better looking than I already thought. And I was like, really? Is that possible? And she's like, I didn't think so. And she's like, it must be the blenders. Anyways, they have amazing sunglasses, mid-priced eyewear, as they call it. And I tell you what, high-end looks. Unlike expensive mid-brand shades that you've probably lost or smashed in the past, blenders are actually affordable. So if you do happen to lose them or break them, as we so often do, you won't feel like you had to spend a small fortune to replace them. So you're not going to cry. That's right. You're not going to cry because it's inevitable. Stuff happens, man. Blender's team and the in-house designers are constantly coming out with new styles, from orange polarized wraparounds, tortoiseshell frames with purple lenses. Ooh, fun. That's, I have one of those. Amazing. To the classic gold arms on black lenses. And it's not just sunglasses, no. Blenders has prescription glasses, readers, and blue light glasses, the fashion frames, as well as a snow collection with goggles and accessories. So get your blenders today. Blenders Eyewear. Score 15% off your blenders purchase. Visit blenderseyewear.com and enter promo code VIALLVIP. That is VIALLVIP. That's blenderseyewear.com, code VIALLVIP for 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
So good. Thank you for asking. How can I help?
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm 22 today, actually.
It's your birthday?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
What a win. Let's see if we can make it better or worse. Not sure. I make no promises.
Hey, whatever it is, it is. I'm ready for it. So kind of a long story. I dated this guy for about 2 years. It was kind of a hard relationship in the fact that he's in the military. I dealt with a lot of distance, a lot of goodbyes, a lot of missions. But we made it work. Up until, so it was our 2-year anniversary, and then he got deployed. During the deployment, we actually broke up, and that was super hard for me. And a little story behind that is he kind of has a hard time talking about his emotions. So I can kind of read people really well, and he would always say, no, everything's fine, like everything's fine. But like something in me was kind of like, I kept asking because I felt like I knew. And nope, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I was like, I kept asking for the reassurance of, are you sure? Like, are you sure you want to be with me? Everything was fine. And then one day we were FaceTiming, and he was like, I don't know anymore. Like, deployment's hard. And we just broke up. There was no fight. We stopped talking.
Okay.
Then obviously we were in quarantine and everything I was kind of by myself. And after a few weeks, things started opening back up again. And my roommate from college is actually from my hometown. So she was like, hey, like, do you want to hang out with me and a few people, go get some drinks? I said, okay. While I was there was this guy that was there, and we just kind of hit it off. Just
Great.
One of those things where people understand each other. We just talked all night. And then from there, before I came back to school, he was like, hey, like, do you want to go? Like, can I take you out? So we can kind of get to know each other more, because, you're drinking and stuff. Like, let's get to know each other on a more personal level. Took me out. It was great. And then I went back to school, and we kept talking. And eventually I was just kind of like we kind of decided like, hey, like, why not date? But I don't necessarily know I was over the relationship from before. I was just kind of over the sadness, just the initial sadness. And I'm kind of one to jump into new relationships. I've always had pretty long relationships, back to back. But so then, as everyone said he would, my ex came back, kind of just like, I have no idea why I did that. I messed up, and we kind of slowly kept talking. I kept the one guy, the new guy, informed. I told him everything, like, hey, like, my ex is back. This is what happened. And then my ex wanted to come and see me when he got back from deployment, which was only like a week later. Like, he contacted me a week before he was coming back. And then I asked this new guy, hey, like, are you cool with me talking to him? Like, I feel like I need the closure because we stopped talking when we broke up completely. And he was like, I totally understand. So we did. And I just like completely fell back for my ex. And with this new guy, it was like, we said we loved each other. And for me, like, I do, but it wasn't like the in love type of love. And with my ex, it was very much like passionate love. But this guy felt way different for me. You're the one. I can't imagine life without you anymore. Like, you changed me, all that kind of stuff.
The new guy said this?
Yeah.
Okay.
The new guy was completely like, you're the one I'm going to marry. And it was a lot because it was like only a month of talking and dating and all that kind of stuff. And then I just kept talking to my ex and talking to him. And he had asked me if I had been talking to someone. And I told him, yeah, but I didn't really want to necessarily go into detail. Another fact is my ex was a virgin until he met me.
So when you say you didn't want to go into the details, you had sex with a new guy and you tried to avoid telling him that?
At that point, I hadn't had sex with a new guy, but I felt that we did everything else, but I felt like I almost didn't want to ruin my chances again with my ex.
Sure. No, I get it.
Because, sexual stuff with my ex was very important to him, and it was very, save it for the right person. With me, I had been with people
Well,
before.
I mean, good for him. That's important to him, but
Right.
he let you go, and
Right,
you
right.
had a right to live your life.
Right.
It may be important to him, and he might not have an extensive sexual history, but it's not like he was saving himself from marriage either. He had
Right.
sex with you, and
Yeah,
he
that's
broke up
true.
with you.
Right.
And if he broke up with you, clearly in that moment, he was like, not my person,
Back with my ex, and basically what happened was he knew my relationship with this guy, but not to the extent, and that completely on me. He knew we were super close. He knew we hung out. He knew we have the same friend group from home now because I was introduced to them. So when I came back home, like on breaks and stuff for the semester, I was hanging out with them. And although he was kind of uncomfortable with it, he's a very understanding guy. And I almost took advantage of that fact.
The new guy.
No, my ex was very understanding of me. He was like, I broke up with you. You talked to him when we broke up. I acknowledge that. And I'm not going to.
That's not being understanding. That's being like self-aware and realistic. I mean,
I just feel like most people would just be like, no, like you can't.
Well,
at least people my age.
Most people, sure. But most people, that doesn't really matter, right? Like, we have
Right.
a way of manipulating or, sometimes gaslighting, we make it about our feelings and how it hurts us. And it's just like, well, this is what you're doing, your choice, and I wasn't doing it to spite you. I was
Right.
just moving on with my life. So where are we now?
So basically, we got back together in, I want to say, November. And he kind of knew things were going on. Like, he felt weird. So at one point, I think it was like New Year's Eve, he we went to bed like early because I don't know. And he took my phone and he basically read some messages between me and the new guy. And basically it was just he didn't realize how deep our relationship it was. And we were saying I was like, I love you. I'm sorry, this happened. I still love having you in my life. I kind of I miss you. I want to hang out when we got back.
Sure, just a bunch of shit he didn't want to read.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but stuff I should not have been saying.
Why not?
Why? Some of it crossed the line. Not
What do you mean cross the line?
Cross the line. I shouldn't have been saying stuff to someone I was talking to before while I'm dating my boyfriend.
So wait, you got back to
together with my ex.
And then while you're back together with your ex, you were still talking to
Correct.
that guy. Okay, I get what you're saying. So it wasn't like when he was gone, he was back in your life.
He was back in my life.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So yeah, okay. So
So then he read it, and he was not going to tell me that he read it. He just wanted to forget about it. He does not process his emotions well or feelings. So like he was like going to pretend he never saw it. Like he whatever. But then he was acting weird the next day. And I kept saying like, hey, like you good? You good? And he kept saying, yep, yep, yep. And then eventually he cracked and he was like, I read your messages. Like he was like, I mean, some of the stuff you saying, like I would say that it was cheating on me. And he was like, you've always said that like, you know, cheating it doesn't have to be physical.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're absolutely right. Like I did cross the line, and now like we are back together and we're fine. And he said he's good. Like if anything, I'm the one who brings it up because of my anxiety. And I keep thinking, is he really over it, or is he going to leave again like last time out of the blue? It's kind of like I'm overthinking. And he's like, you have to forgive yourself, but I refuse to forgive. Like I keep.
You guys have some shit you got to work out, right? I think there was hurt on both sides with him breaking up, and then you tried to move on, and then he, when he was ready on his time, popped back in your life, and it elicited a lot of like feelings that you had and wanted to forget, and that doesn't make what you did okay, but and then you know I think often, you know, when I was younger too, and it sounds like maybe you guys are experiencing this, you're trying to almost live up to the expectations that you guys are setting for yourselves or what you always thought you'd have in a relationship. And it sounds like you're both good people and probably had upbringings where you were taught about like what it means to love, and you guys you have the best intentions, right? But you realize as you like get into your adult life, shit's hard and feelings get involved and there are people come and go, and so you're both figuring it out, and you did some shit that hurt him. But I wouldn't ignore that. I think you're kind of quickly dismissing. Why were you texting him? Like, what was going on that caused you to say these things to the other guy?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think is I love my boyfriend in every way, and he's great in every way, except the fact that I have like pretty bad anxiety when it comes to like relationships. I overthink everything with my friendships too.
Okay.
And he simply does not understand anxiety whatsoever. He's like, you're fine. Everything's fine. And this guy understands that on a completely different level, and I felt like selfishly I needed it from
That's
that
a big
guy.
deal.
It is a big deal.
I mean, that's not like I love everything about my boyfriend, but like, oh God, I wish he liked ice cream as much as I did, you know? Like,
and it's hard because he tries. Like he's like, I would go to therapy with you, I would try to understand, but for the past, it's almost been 3 years now since we would be together, besides like the 2 months we broke up, but he has tried. He just cannot get it. And it's super hard for me because I deal with it every day.
mm-hmm.
And it's hard because he does try. He's not like, it doesn't matter.
What do you mean by try? And what do you mean by he doesn't get it?
He tries to say like, how can I help you? Like, how can I understand?
What do you say to that?
I guess just like ask me, I don't know how I'm feeling sometimes.
So he's not dismissive of your feelings, is what you're saying.
He's not dismissive, but when I say, hey, like I'm anxious about this specific situation, like, hey, like my dog passed away yesterday, and I was
sorry.
Yeah, it's hard, but I was telling him like how much it hurt. He was like, it's all good. You'll be fine. It happens. And it was like,
Oh, that's just a guy kind of being dumb, and you know, guys think they can fix things, and
right. I know,
classic case of you just kind of want him to listen and be there emotionally and empathize with you, and he's like, well, I'll fix it, and I'll give you the reassurance of like you're going to be fine, and you're just like, wait, but I'm not fine now.
But I'm not. I'm like, right. He has the best intention. It's just like other people, I feel like almost get it more. Like I got calls and stuff, and he didn't really call me. He was just like, let me know if you need me, and I was like, I just wish you would check in and like, hey, you good? Like.
So what's your biggest problem that you feel like you have right now in your relationship or just in general?
I guess just learning to trust and let go when someone says, hey, I forgive you. It's okay. And I don't know if that's like something specific to his and I relationship because of how we broke up and how I did believe what he said. And then it was not the truth.
Well, it sounds like you have this deep down fear, like he broke up with you, what felt like to you out of nowhere,
right? And
you're then combining the fact that like he doesn't really show his emotion, so can I really is he really forgiving me, or is he just pushing it aside because I know he likes to push it aside, and you're trying to like make sure that he never, this is really about you, right? And I get it. You're just gonna have to see, you know, like, listen, I don't know how this is going to work out for you. Like, I don't know if this guy is your person. I always just bet on the fact that he's probably not. And you are young and you've broken up, and clearly you've already taught yourself that you can be attracted to other people. And, you know, there's a romantic element of him coming back from his tour, and then you miss him and like, oh, fuck, I just love, you know.
Right.
But who knows? You don't really know yet if this is a person that you can really feel your most authentic self around.
Right.
Right. I think that really matters. As I got older, like that is something that I truly value. And I think when we're younger, we don't value that as much. We almost try to be the person we want to be, or who we imagined ourselves to be, or how we want the relationship to be. And then we don't feel like we can be ourselves. And that's important when you're thinking about the rest of your life. And so I don't know. I think you're just going to have to, if this is the relationship you want to be in, try to get out of your head. You know, this is more of a you problem than a relationship problem. Like, I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, yes.
I'm always the one bringing it up, and I know he hates it because I know he just wants to say, let it go, dude. Like, let it go.
Yeah, you have to trust him, right?
It's been like 2 months since then, and like he hasn't really brought it up.
Do you trust your boyfriend?
Yes, completely.
All right, so if he tells you to let it go, you're going to have to trust him.
I just trusted him last time, and that didn't end well.
Well, fine, but you've chosen to also forgive him and get back in a relationship, right? Like, so you're almost saying, like, I didn't really forgive you. I'm just like setting it aside. And that's what you're kind of projecting that onto him, because like you're worried, you're kind of doing the same thing. You guys aren't really addressing the issues. You're just saying everything's fine. Let's just be together because ultimately that's what I want right now.
Because he hates fighting and I hate fighting. It just...
Well, there's a difference between fighting and communicating, and you guys don't seem to understand the difference in the moment.
I communicate a lot and I have a lot of opinions, and he's kind of like, okay, it's all good. Like, and I'm like, say something.
That
like,
matters. That matters.
I have an opinion.
Yeah. Well, I guess that matters, right? Like, you're downplaying this. I love everything but this. You clearly have a lot of frustration about how you communicate with your boyfriend. You clearly have a lot of angst about like how comfortable you truly are in this relationship. You really have a lot of angst about how safe you feel in this relationship. I don't know. Those sound like big deals to me. I'm not saying you should break up with him, but you either have to you have to be vulnerable. You're young. There's a good chance, whether it's like you're going to get hurt again.
Right.
In a relationship. That's okay. It's not going to kill you. You'll survive. Right?
Yeah.
On the pursuit of finding the person you're going to feel the most safest around and the most comfortable and safest to be yourself, along the way, you're going to swing and miss. But you're not doing yourself any good by just constantly having anxiety and worry about it all going bad. You know?
That's what happens. Like, I'm a planner. Obviously, that comes with the anxiety. He's like, day by day. Like, don't worry about, like, are we going to get married in 2 years? Like, are we going to do this? He's like, and that's what feels safe, but plans don't work out, as I've learned. Yeah.
Well, that's a great lesson you've learned, right? Remind yourself of that. You definitely, it seems like you need to chill a little bit.
Yeah.
These are the choices you've both made. You both, you know, as every relationship goes, you've both made some mistakes. You both seem to be willing to prioritize each other more than the mistakes. That's great, but you both really have to let it go.
I just know how much like of a thing cheating is, and like I've been cheated on, so I know how much it hurts, and I just feel like the worst person in the world, and like it's past us.
I mean, at the same time, it's maybe you found a guy who recognizes is in control of his own ego, recognizes that he played a role in this, and like, listen, you're responsible for your own decisions. Like, it's not necessarily his fault you cheated, but like he created the situation, and you made a mistake, and you were experienced. Like, he left on his terms, he came back on his terms. You know, you didn't handle it well, you didn't handle it great. There's definitely a better place. Like, the best, in hindsight, the best approach would be like, I don't know if I can take you back right now because I want to take you back because I don't want to lose this, because I love you and I'm afraid to lose this, but I know that I have other things I have to process too, and I don't want to like cross streams, and I don't want to muddy the waters. That would have been the perfect solution, but hindsight's 2020.
And I felt so guilty in both ways because I hurt two people.
Yeah, but it sounds like you are currently dating a guy who can recognize that, has the maturity to say, I played a role in this, and I can either point the finger and tell her how she's wrong and make it all about my feelings and my hurt and how it hurt my feelings, or I can like recognize that deep down I believe that she loves me. I trust that she loves me, and I might be wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and trust and then go forward. And maybe that's a page out of his book that you can try to learn from. In the meantime, I think you need to take a breath and try to let shit go, and assuming that that's what you want, and or not, and break up with him. But you have to force yourself to you have to trust him. You have to give him the trust that you say you want to give him, at the risk of being wrong again. All right? Well, best of luck. It's tough. It's tough, but I think you owe it to the relationship to try to trust each other at a minimum, and see if you can communicate more effectively. All right.
I will. I'll take your advice.
All right. Take care. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. What's your name?
Jesse, 26.
Awesome, Jesse. How can I help?
So I wrote in because I was in a long-term relationship for 2 years. We broke up about a year ago. And now we're at a point where he reached out to me wanting to reconcile. I do want to give you a little backstory. We ended on good terms. There was no hatred or infidelity or anything, but I do struggle with intimacy issues. Yeah, like about 5 years ago, I was sexually assaulted, and it caused me to not be very forward with anyone, or really have a drive that's considered, quote, normal. And so when we broke up, it had been probably a couple months where we just went like 100 to 0. There was like no sex. There was no nothing. We kissed and stuff, but past that, there was really nothing. And I think it led him to kind of blow up and question why that was happening.
Was he aware of what happened to you?
No, I chose not to tell anyone, not even my parents. The only person I really knew was my sister, and it took me years to tell her. So I ended up telling him the truth at the end, so I could explain what was happening, because in the back of my head, I knew why I was acting a certain way. And he basically was like, I can't deal with that. And he was like, this is just a lot. And he needs that physical, or he says he needs that physical part to feel like a partner. And yeah, so we ended up ending things, and we've had a year apart, and he reached out to me, Monday, when I wrote in. And so I'm just kind of want your opinion and see if this is something like I should be able to salvage or should want to try again, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, so this was like a year ago? Did you say?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's been going on with you in this past year? Is this something that, have you talked to a therapist? I mean, this traumatic, obviously, event, have you been working through that for you personally?
Yeah,
you have?
100%. Okay. I did therapy right after, up until that relationship. That was my first relationship and only relationship after my event. And since then, for like the past year, I've been in therapy, and I have learned to reason with not being in control of how someone reacts to a traumatic event. And I think I had to be okay with him fleeing for a little bit. So, that's really the work I've been doing, is just being okay with someone else's actions, because it shouldn't affect mine. And I know I'm at terms with what happened to me. I'm okay. I feel like I could get into a relationship. I've dated the past year, but I thought I was going to end up with this person, so I'm not sure what to do.
So what part of you wants to get back together?
98% of me.
Okay. What part doesn't?
The part that he flies away when something like bad happens.
Okay. Well, that's valid. So he called you and he says he wants to get together. I'm assuming, did he address that?
So,
or was he did he pretend like, hey, by the way, I know when we broke up, you told me this really traumatic thing that happened to you, and I was, pretty insensitive and borderline dismissive of something that must have been really hurtful. And while I was dealing with it, like, my bad, I'm sorry. Also, can we get back together? Or did he just pretend it didn't happen?
He addressed, so the first thing that he said was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate me?
Okay.
And I was like, well, that's an odd approach. I was like, it took me a day to respond because I didn't know how to handle it. I said, I don't hate you. And I asked him, like, what's your purpose of reaching out? Like, why are you talking to me at the moment? And he was just like, and he explained to me how this past year has been difficult. And he felt like his reaction wasn't well thought out. And he was like, I believe I understand what you went through, was his words. And I said, okay. And then I was like, well, what do you want, or what do you want to accomplish? And he was like, well, I want good communication. I want to be a team, and I want great sex. So
wait, he said that?
He said those 3 things.
Some red flags here.
You think?
So that's why I'm like we were never that that couple that like texted when we were in the mood. Like, that was just never us. And then the fact that he was just really forward, I'm not sure like why, or like if he has like no regard for like anything.
Well, I mean, best case scenario, he's just kind of dim-witted. You know, like it's weird because like he, asked you that question, oh, how much do you hate me, right? So he was aware that he probably hurt your feelings. But instead of just being a mature adult and say, hey, before I say anything else, I just want to say I'm sorry, and here's why. Here's what I've learned about what my actions might have done, and I'm ashamed of how I handled it, and I understand that, I didn't mean to, and I'm sure you recognize that, but here's why I wish I would have done things differently even in the moment, and I'm sorry for that. But instead, he was just like hoping that you would let him off the hook by being like, no, I don't hate you, and so then he can kind of just ignore that. It's a very immature way of handling something, and to me, that would tell me he is still uncomfortable with having uncomfortable conversations.
I don't think he's ever had to just face something head on where like his instinct is just to flee. Like, I think honestly, that's probably his reaction to his problems. If he doesn't have to deal with them, he chooses to not. But he did apologize. He's like, I'm sorry for leaving. I was an effing idiot. So he apologized, and then I asked him what he wanted, and that is when he responded with those 3 things. And I just didn't say anything. I didn't respond. I didn't know how to take it. But he told me he was open to a conversation and wanted to like hear it out on details on, how I've been for the past year and what I was hoping to get, but like, I don't have an answer.
All I'm confident in saying is that this would be a risk for you to let him into your life, because it could open some old wounds, and it doesn't. He definitely seems like a person who lacks, at best case scenario, lacks the social skills to have a sensitive conversation, and he doesn't know how to like take his needs out of an equation, like getting laid, especially when dealing with something like this, right? And so whether he means to or not, he just might hurt you by just continually being insensitive. And I'm not confident what you've told me that he has really learned how to be able to do that. Because like, listen, like everyone in a relationship wants great sex, but like really that was the time you felt like you needed to like throw that in there? Just especially given that like how things ended the last time, and his lack of ability to understand that what you went through was probably a reason why you were having a hard time going there and being intimate and having reservations about sex. And so let's go back to the 98% that you want to get back together with him. Like, why?
I mean, we had a great relationship. He is an incredible human being. He supported me in every single thing. Like, I went through like a layoff at the time. I lost my grandparents. My dad got diagnosed with cancer. Just like a lot of things that should give someone an excuse to leave, I feel like he chose to just, dig in deeper. And then when it was me, like,
I think you're giving him too much credit.
you think?
Yeah, you've been through a lot. I
100%.
want to give you a hug. You've been through a lot, but like, life can suck, and sometimes life can suck all at once. Like sometimes when you hear the phrase like when it rains it pours type of thing, and it's been pouring for you for a while now. And I don't think just because he stuck through like experiencing death, or like that's what a relationship is. That's bare minimum. Right? I don't think he needs a pat on the back for not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you need to thank him for this.
Sure.
Nothing bothers me more than when friends or people be like, I'm so good for like having your back. It's like, I don't know. Did you like,
It's like that's bare minimum.
yeah. It's like, listen, do you either like if I did something shitty, if I deserve to be lectured, then don't have my back. Be my friend and like tell me what I did wrong. But like having my back and being loyal or there for me, like this is called being a friend. This is called being a partner. This is called being someone I can count on. Like, you don't get points for that. Like that's, and so I don't think he gets points for being like pretty decent and most of the time that he was required to be decent to you.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I compare it to like previous relationships, and I think those were so shitty.
Yeah.
But this one just feels like age is different, and like maybe it isn't, but I don't have another standard to like go off.
I think that's very brave of you to acknowledge, right? Because it takes some looking in the mirror on your end to be like, maybe my picker's off, and like all our pickers are off, right?
Right.
You had some bad luck, and are you still going through therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Right? I think to me this feels a little bit of he's reaching out at a vulnerable time for you. And at the hopes that maybe he has figured out he's a nice guy, and maybe you can get back to that. Having someone around who you could lean on at times would be a really nice feeling. But I even feel like you sense the fear that he could hurt your feelings.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Are you in a position to feel confident enough to get together with him? Not try again, but just agree to like meet up with him or talk to him and really own that conversation and just be like, listen, can I be totally honest? I'm not really interested in hearing your side. I just need to tell you exactly how I felt, how you made me feel, what I need. Like asking what he wants is, I don't know if it should be a big concern of you right now, but it just feel like he really hurt you, and you're still trying to figure out ways to validate his behavior. Because, and again, I'm not saying he's a terrible guy, but I think maybe you can do better.
Like, I don't know, like I'm a huge, like, don't waste my time type person, and I don't want to waste my time again. I don't view that relationship as wasting time. I just feel like I learned my lessons, and I'm like, I've done a year of like more work on myself. And if I were to have a conversation with him, I would be so angry.
As you should. Why do you feel bad about that?
I'm not sure.
Well, I personally think you have a right to be angry. Do you feel like you can be angry with him?
Oh yeah, 100%. But I feel like the second I am, he's going to walk away.
That should tell you a lot.
Yeah. Because like I said, like I think his innate reaction is just to walk away. Just say, I'm not doing this.
Do you want someone in your life? How old are you again?
26.
Yeah, you're super young. Chrissy's still looking for Mr. Right. I just found a girlfriend. I'm
42.
Who knows how that's going to go?
Well, according to a psychic. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the psychic doesn't think it's going to be a tragic end. I mean, I'm joking, but like you're still young. You have a lot, I'm sure a lot going for you. You're in a room. Chrissy thinks it's New York. I'm just But
yeah,
I get feeling impatient. I do. I don't think you should give a lot of energy to someone you think that you have to tiptoe around, and you can't even express how you feel, and you can't express anger because you're afraid he's just going to leave. That is a terrible feeling to feel in a relationship. How unsafe could you that's, oh my God, terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to feel safe and feel like you're yourself.
I agree with you. I just
Yeah, I just wanted like a third party opinion. I just don't want to go with anyone who's biased because I know what my friends would say and I know what like my family would say.
Allie wants to chime in here.
She's basically saying that you're still going through therapy and that you need to be in a relationship that makes you feel safe. Because if you're not in that relationship when you feeling safe, then you're not going to be able to heal.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I agree with
you're
that.
You're not there yet. That's okay.
Yeah, no, I acknowledge that. I guess I thought that him coming back was like him ready to like face the issue, and I don't consider it an issue anymore. I don't consider it. I don't think of it as a part of myself.
Yeah.
I think of it as an event, not necessarily like that makes me who I am. And so by him coming back, my head like registered that as, oh, he's ready to talk about it. He's ready to.
We don't know
try to address it.
why he's back in your life. Could be boredom. I mean, listen, I'm sure it sounds like he recognizes that he was kind of a dick and he maybe feels guilty about it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he's fully understands what he did or how he did it. Or the bigger picture for you is like you even seem reasonable and empathetic to him more than he is to you. Like, hey, maybe this is a lot for anyone to handle, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I guess I get it. But more importantly, you don't trust that he is in a position to deal with things that might happen in the future, let alone the past. And that is scary. I mean, that's scary for anyone. Right?
Yeah.
And that
exactly.
I would be scared.
That's my reservation. I feel like I've weighted what happened or our breakup so small because the rest of the 2 years, I would say like those 800 days or whatever were far better than that one.
Maybe you should just take
that's
advantage
the
of this
only reason why
opportunity.
it's like that.
But that's also what every girl wants, right?
What do
Every
you
girl wants the boy that like screwed her over to come back and like,
every person wants validation that they weren't
the one
crazy or they weren't wrong, and it feels good to have someone regret hurting our feelings. Like all of us, it's not just women, it's men too.
But it's not worth just having a body next to you.
Why not? Do you think you can like maybe you just take advantage of this opportunity that he's back in your life so you can yell at him and then let him go?
So like the whole reason I asked him what he wanted was so I wanted him to say, I want you back. And so I didn't have to respond and say anything, which is exactly what I did. So I got my gratification of knowing why he was back, but I'm not sure if he was saying that because it's what I wanted to hear. But I know he expected a reaction from me saying like, I'm sure he thought I was going to say, oh my God, me too, or whatever. And I didn't. And so I don't know.
You don't know what?
I don't know if I should respond at all or if I should just like want to try to make an effort to see him so I could like rip him a new one. I don't know.
What do you think deep down will be the best for you in the long run?
I don't know. I feel like I've been debating this for like the past year. Should I have a conversation with him and let him know how hurt I am? But at the same time, is he going to care?
Well, that's the risk, right? Sometimes when we vent, right, and we get it out, we're expecting some sort of reaction that's going to justify our anger. And there is no guarantee he's going to give it to you. There's a good chance he's going to get defensive.
I want an apology, like a true apology.
Yeah. I think it's risky, but you could say that. Just keep it short and say, honestly, this is what I want from you, and it feels like you don't really get it. The risk you run is like, once you open that up, he's going to be like, well, I want to understand, and I want you to explain to me, and then here you are, investing all this energy, explain to him what he should know, that as an adult person, he should have figured this out. Like, he came back to you without he wasn't prepared. He showed up to a meeting unprepared He's like, I'm here. I want you back. And he's like, I recognize I hurt your feelings, but like, whatever. I still want great sex. Like, what a fuck you to you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I feel like he thinks like the past year I've just kind of been like, I don't know, exploring my sexuality to be comfortable with like men. I don't know like what his idea is, but like the fact that he said that, I'm just like,
I mean, I don't know how you felt it, but it like how it felt to you, but it was almost like, hey, you like blowjobs yet? You know, like after it's like it was kind of crude and insensitive. And you need an empathetic, understanding person. And listen, sadly I've learned in my adult dating life through dating and having conversations with female friends and women I've dated that there are a lot of women out there who are victims of sexual assault. And there are guys out there that won't run, who will listen, who will talk to you, who won't treat you like you're some sort of broken thing, and there are a lot of guys who won't. And right now it sounds like you found a guy who won't. And I would spend more energy finding guys who will rather than trying to fix guys who won't.
I mean, the whole premise as to why I didn't say anything was because I didn't feel the need to. It's something that happened to me. Doesn't affect anyone else but me. I selfishly still believe that because I don't have to tell it to anyone I don't want to. I don't.
Yeah.
I can be selfish with this.
You should be. Yeah.
That was my whole premise was, I don't want to share it with anyone. And then I almost felt like I had no choice but to say something because there was no other explanation for why I was behaving the way I was. So I just don't want to be looked at differently. If I do say it right out at the beginning, that was my biggest fear, saying I can't deal with this baggage or whatever. Or, when we are being intimate, are you going to think that I'm thinking about something else?
Yeah, it's hard. It sucks. And I'm sorry. And there are a lot of shitty, immature guys out there. Yeah. And I just think you should just take the time to continue to heal. Like Allie suggested, you're still on this path. It's been a year and that's great, but it might take longer and that's okay.
Yeah.
And then you should be really picky and really careful about the people you let into your life, at the risk of feeling a little bored and lonely sometimes. But I would be really selective about who you allow into your space, especially while you're healing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And it's okay to sometimes feel like, hey, I'm good now. Get back on the playing field and realize, you know what? I came back and played too early. I'm not quite healthy yet.
Oh, yeah, no, that happened.
And then you go back and you go back to the, treating yourself and taking care of it. And it takes time. But it's good that you are working on it. And the more I talk to you, the more I think you should just, ignore them, block them. I just feel like there's a lot of risk involved in letting him back in.
Sure.
And it's going to, more than anything, I think this guy maybe once again kind of scratched at a wound that wasn't fully healed yet, and brought up some old things that you had thought you dealt with, and it's almost like a trick of like, hey, maybe I can get you this kind of like thing you've always wanted for the past year, but it's not really there, but like I'm gonna pretend that it is, and
sure.
Yeah, I don't see it with him.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's what I was looking for was, kind of not a decision maker, but someone to just be okay with that. So yeah.
And again, you'll let your ego be like, you know what? He misses me.
No, I know. I do feel
great.
like that. My ego definitely was lifted.
And so take that win and then, go back to the place where you can continue to allow yourself to heal and take some time, because the place you really want to get is he reaches out again, if he were fictitiously, and you're just like, you know what? I'm good. I wish you the best. I've moved on. And,
yeah,
you don't need to, you don't need to say to him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hypothetically in therapy, it's always a hypothetical situation that they come back. So I was preparing for the day he did. And, because I knew that he would. Yeah. So it did not go how I thought it would, to say the least. So
you're not there yet, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's still a little, it's a shitty thing to do. I couldn't imagine opening up to someone about something like that happening to me, and then the person you want to believe is always going to be there for you and you trust the most does exactly the opposite and makes you feel even worse and more judgmental about it. I mean, that's fucking sucks.
Yeah, no, it really did suck. I mean, we had a life, we had a dog, and so like staring at that dog, he ended up coming with me after the breakup. But yeah, I mean, we had a house and everything. It was like I had a life. So just like completely coming back into my own was so different. So, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm a year later and I'm fine. So, yeah.
All right. Well, you're gonna be okay. You're brave. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that will empathize and relate to you. And
For sure.
it sucks, you know. And guys out there, you know, do better. And it sucks, you know. I don't know. It's like weird. It's like the more you hear and the more stories I've heard from friends, it's just you realize just how sadly prevalent it is out there. And
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sad that we aren't always believed, and that's always been, you know, why I'd never wanted to share my story, was because I didn't think anyone would say, "Oh, I empathize with you," or "Oh, I believe you," because I wasn't. And when it happened, you know, at my previous workplace, and I I wasn't believed by, you know, the people who were supposed to take care of me as an employee. So, you know, it just sucks. So you know, goes to show that not everyone is on board or wants to be supportive or understand. So,
well, I am sorry. And
it's okay.
just take just take some time and just be real picky about who you let in your world.
Yeah, no, I will be for sure.
All right.
Well, I appreciate you.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for listening to me.
Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Take
Yep.
care. All right. Bye-bye. How's it going?
Hi, it's going good. I'm Erin, 21 from Pennsylvania.
Ooh, Pennsylvania. How can we help, Aaron?
I guess there's a bit of background to it. So I go to a branch campus of a larger university, and last spring I started going out with someone on my campus. Everything was really great. It was definitely, obviously, very early on, but like the best friendship and the best dynamic I'd ever had with a partner like that. And then Corona hit and he had to go home for, you know, we didn't know how long at the time, because when it first started, they said, we'll be back before finals. It'll just be a couple weeks. So we were like, okay, we can stick this out. That's no big deal. And then time sort of passed and that kept getting extended, how long it would be until we came back. And eventually, of course, we followed each other on social media. We had still been monogamous for that period of time. And then out of nowhere, he posted a picture on his Visco with a girl who I had known that he had hooked up with before. And it was like a very coupley type of picture. So I reached out, we were texting all day like normal. So I just sort of reached out and I was like, that's really strange. Maybe we should have talked before you posted that. And he just didn't respond. And we didn't talk again from then until mid-August maybe. And he reached back out and basically was like, I miss you. I miss us. Like, I'm sorry I did that to you. And I was like, it's fine. Like, I'm not gonna hold him to it. We were apart. It's whatever. And he was like, just so you know, I ended up transferring back home. He lives like 400 miles away. But he was like, I want to go up to main campus next year. So main campus is only like 100 miles from my branch campus. So that's doable. And we just sort of talked through the day. Like, there were insinuations that we were good. We were just going to kind of jump back in. And then the next day, he like didn't respond to my text and we didn't talk again until this January. And it was just sort of the same deal where he would reach out and just be like, I'm sorry for going MIA, blah, 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 a million excuses. Like, how are you? Do you want to talk? And then it was just the same cycle again. And it was frustrating this time because I just sort of was willing to set more of a boundary this time and just sort of be like, what we're doing isn't something I'm comfortable with. Like, obviously, I understand we have a number of barriers in the way, but if we're going to have any type of friendship or like any form of a relationship between us, there has to be like some level of consistency. And he was like, yeah, I get it 100%. And then it was the same thing. We're like 2 days later, just absolutely nothing from him again. And I know this probably sounds so stupid when I'm saying it to you. I know in your head you're like, he is just bored. But when we're actually together, it's like by far the best friend I've ever had. Like, not even partner. It's like the best friendship. And like the way we talk to each other is so like communicative and good. Like everything about us is so good. I think I'm smart enough to be able to be like, oh, you're just trying to manipulate me. You're just bored. And it's like, it seems so sincere. And he always justifies it by being like, I don't want to run the risk of us getting in fights and us ruining like the potential of a relationship when I'm closer to you by like talking all the time. And I get that. I guess I'm just wondering, because I do see both sides. I guess I'm just wondering if I seem ridiculous or if I am being stupid for letting him come and go like that.
Well, you're not stupid. You're being a little too patient. Are these texts from her?
Yeah, that's from her.
Who?
So,
From January.
yeah.
Did you send this or he sent this?
No, he sent me that.
Out of nowhere?
Yes.
This is a text you received from him having not spoken with him for a period of time?
Yes. Yeah, like 6 months.
And he wrote, "Hey, I've been feeling extremely compelled to talk to you these past few weeks, and I have been pushing it off. But it's driving me crazy." Nice setup. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I want you so bad, baby, it burns, and I've tried to fight it, but I can't any longer. So I've come to say hi. Feel free to ignore me for 6 months. It's would only be more than fair. I won't hold it against you. Hope you're doing well. Yes, I'm alive. What a fucking piece of shit. You guys have great chemistry. That's why it feels so good when you're together. You have a natural chemistry. He doesn't want to be your boyfriend. He likes having you around, and he, like you, feels that chemistry when you're together, which is why all the feelings you feel when you're together and why it feels so good when it's good. But relationships aren't just about how good it is when it's good. It's about how you deal when it's bad. And you know, because relationships are both. You have the good and the bad. How you communicate when you're feeling bored or when you're feeling stressed or when you're not on the same page. When you're feeling a little cooped up and you want some freedom, you deal with that and not just disappear for 3 months. He is, yeah, I mean, he is a bit manipulative. I mean, I'm not saying he's just a guy. He's just a young, selfish guy who doesn't want a girlfriend at all. But he does like you. And he does feel the chemistry, and at times I don't doubt that he misses you and feels compelled to talk to you. And listen, it's not just boredom in the sense that like you're not just somebody, you're not anybody, you're not easily replaced. The reason he does come back to you is because, yeah, like you, he feels the chemistry that you guys have together. You know, so you're not crazy to feel that. Like you're not just anyone, but you are not the only one he has chemistry with. And even the chemistry he does feel with you, he's not willing to give up freedom to only have this chemistry. It's not good enough for him. In the meantime, he is a bit of a manipulative son of a bitch who, like, this is all about getting what he wants and making you feel bad or guilty. It's like a passive, it's like a really kind of low-key gaslighting kind of situation here. Mm-hmm. Not directly, but like I would feel fucking crazy reading this message after hearing from someone I've missed for 6 months and wanted to talk to, but they didn't want to talk to me. And if I got this shit, I'd lose my fucking mind. You know? What did you feel when you got this text message?
I think I'm past with him wanting to like play any type of game. So I read it and
But he's playing.
I know. I hate coming on here and defending him because I really do see it both ways. And I guess like in my head, I'm so convinced that he's a good person. And I know like this situation doesn't define like if he's good or bad, but like he was always so good to me that like I really do want to say like I think he's genuine with it. But obviously just even if he is, the way he goes about it, I know isn't fair to me, but then I'm not sure what the fair thing for me to do.
Well, the fair thing for you to do is to prioritize, again, your needs and respect yourself, because this, you're right. This doesn't define him as a person. He probably is a good guy and means well. How old is he?
20.
Yeah, he's super young. He's immature. He's figuring this shit out. He's in his feelings. And nevertheless, you are being way too understanding. It's fine. I don't care if you did that and hurt me. Like, you're being way too chill and too understanding. You're not acknowledging how he's making you feel and how he's hurting your feelings, for fear that when you're finally getting what you want, he will leave again because, you want to, justifiably so, address the way he's hurt your feelings and how you felt in the time when he wasn't around. But you've decided to just push that off because you're like, well, it's here. It's fine. It's fun. And we have fun together. And it's great.
Yeah.
Well, while you're doing that, you are giving him permission to keep doing it. You are telling him it's okay. You are justifying what he's doing. So, like, when you're like, you know what? It's cool when he sends you bullshit like this, and you're like, it's fine. How are you? Like, whatever. I'm a super chill, cool, understanding chick. He's just like, yep. And he will leave again, and you will have then given him permission. You're telling him it's okay. You're literally telling him it's fine. And that's only going to set you up to get more and more hurt. And you're right. He's human. We've all done it. People give us permission to be shitty. Sometimes, it takes a real high character and a lot of self-discipline to not take advantage of the situations people give us. It's just like,
Yeah, we're in college. I don't think I ever wanted to hold him to like, oh, we're going to get married and have kids. But it's to say, if we're going to date in college, he was definitely the person that I would have wanted to be with, just because it was just so exponentially better than anyone I'd been with so far. But like, it is what it is. I'm not losing a husband or a future.
If you want to date in college, fine. But like, you don't need a boyfriend in college. You don't need a girlfriend in college. If it's convenient, so you happen to find someone who doesn't do this shit he does, then have a boyfriend.
Right.
But in the meantime, like, focus on school and your friends and be adventurous and take trips and be selfish and do all the things that you're not going to have a chance to do when you meet someone and have a family and have kids and like have to go home early because your dog needs to be let out, just live for yourself right now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do that. I told you, whatever you said, I'm going to do. So
all right.
We're going to silently block him and it's done.
Good for you. Chrissy doesn't believe you, but,
well, you can check up on me on one of your follow-up episodes.
All right.
Well, I'll do it. The hard part for you here is that there's no like immediate like validation that you did the right thing.
Right.
Other than you will slowly just forget about him, and you will slowly stop wondering if he's thinking about you or if he's tried to reach out to you and you don't know it because you're blocked. And I mean everything: Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You disappear from his life.
It's hard.
If you have mutual friends, you ask your mutual friends, don't talk about me to him. I don't exist. I'm a ghost. I'm dead.
No, that makes sense.
She's like, right, that's fucking crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy, but no, because it's the psychological game. Like, what if they're trying to get, like, that's what you just have to get over.
That's the hard part for you, because you're going to want to know if he's like
trying to reach out.
Assuming it doesn't matter. He's just going to send you bullshit like this.
Yeah.
What a fucking dick.
No, I agree. It's good to hear. I think it's just good validation to be like, that's not mean or immature. It's just run its course.
And he's smart too. He's good with his words, this one. This 20-year-old.
Yeah.
He is.
What's his major?
He's political science.
Yeah, that tracks.
Makes sense. It tracks. So
all right. Well, best of luck. You're going to be good. You'll be fine. You can do it. I believe in you. But it's going to be hard.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. And go out there and casually date and be open to meeting new guys, and don't try so hard. Don't try to get over him by like having to meet a bunch of dudes, but just be open to it and have some fun and get straight A's.
Find a fun music major.
Yes. Deal.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks for listening. Thanks certainly to our callers. Some of these stories are tougher than others to share, and we certainly appreciate the vulnerability our callers have with us and our audience. Don't forget to send in your questions at asknick@castmedia.com, cast with a K. We will be back tomorrow talking Bachelor, and probably have an amazing guest for you on Wednesday. I'm certain of it. Have we ever disappointed? Probably.
I mean, it's the finale, so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is this the week of the finale?
Yeah. This is 3/8.
All right. Well, I hope we're going to get the runner-up. That's the plan.
It's a plan.
Probably won't be Rachel. That's fine. I'm pretty sure she wins. This is the guess.
Do we want Rachel?
I mean, selfishly, I'm hoping Bree or Michelle is the runner-up.
Okay.
Because they're awesome, and I feel like we would get great conversations. And I think maybe we get a great conversation with Rachel, but like clearly she's been involved in some stuff. And
We'll see.
I'll let someone else have that conversation. Maybe Rachel on Rachel, let Rachel and Rachel have that conversation. I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be Michelle or Bree. I think it's going to be Michelle's going to be the runner-up. Yeah.
That hurts my heart.
Well, we'll see if Warner Brothers comes through.
Okay. So just in case, tomorrow's also another Bachelor episode.
Yeah. All right, bye.